Good evening, everyone. We'll wait for a couple of minutes.
Good evening, sir.
Hi, good evening. So we'll wait for 2 more minutes, then we'll start the class today. So I request all of you to launch Spider and be ready to solve the problems that we'll discuss today. So, can anyone confirm how many assignments deadlines have passed till now? What was the last assignment that you attempted? Assignment 5 or 6? Oh, sorry. Am I audible to everyone?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So, can you confirm how many assignments have deadlines have passed so far?
Say total 5.
Okay, 5 assignments are done. Okay. So when is the deadline for next assignment? The 6th assignment? Are you aware? Okay, 1st March. Thank you. Anyway, so are my slides visible to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. So today I'll formally introduce myself again. I'm Manikandan. I'm a PMR of PhD fellow from IIT Bombay. So this is week 4, tutorial 4 on the course, The Joy of Computing Using Python. So today we'll solve some practice problems based on the contents of week 4 of the course. Okay. So I have a couple of problems, MCQ problems to start with. So I request all of you to attempt this. I mean, if you are able to deduce the logic without typing, it's fine. If you are stuck somewhere, please do the coding on your own and then see what is it printing. Okay. So this is the first question that we'll discuss today. So we are given a function check_magic. Given the function, the description of the function is given. So what does this following code do? So
I think it will take input, sir. By calling, sorry, we are.
Okay. So we have defined a function here. Yeah. So a function is defined, check_magic. Okay. So once we call this function, what happens? What does this function do? So that's the question. So inside the function, what is given is an array of numbers starting from 1 to 9. Okay, that's an array named num. And after that, they have defined 4 variables: a00, a01, a10, a11, initialized all of them to 0. Okay, so this is the first step that you will have to do when you are dealing with a 2x2 matrix. Okay, a 2x2 matrix will have 4 elements. We are initializing all of them to 0, and then afterwards we'll update their values and do any sort of operations that we want, and we'll store that final value in that variable. Okay, so these are the So this will be the 1 1 element of the matrix. This will be 1 2, this will be 2 1, and this will be 2 2. Okay, so the index is just altered because in Python the starting index is 0 instead of 1. Okay, so I hope that's clear.
So the answer will be option 1.
And the answer will be, yeah. So yeah, I'll get back to the answer, but I want all of you to try this. First, have a look at the question, and if there are any doubts, please ask me. You can type in the chat box whatever you feel is the right answer. So when I get some good number of replies from you, I'll go forward with the next question. Option 1. So all of you try this question. Like if you're not able to deduce the logic, try typing line by line in the spider and then see what is it printing. Okay, so because only 3 of you have responded so far, I'll give you some more time. The print statement is without parent display. Okay. So ignore the parenthesis error in the print statement. So apart from that, apply the logic, and that's a typo. So apart from that, let me know what will you get as the answer. Basically, you don't need to write the code to answer questions like this, okay? Because it's just a nested for loop. And if you know how the values are assigned, like how a nested for loop works, like the outer loop will be initialized to a first value, and then the inner loops will start running first. Okay. Two by two matrices of 0 to 8. Okay. Okay, so yeah, I am streaming this video in YouTube. So the YouTube links, I hope all of you know my channel. Okay, so the videos will be uploaded there. Okay. Okay. Okay, I'll give you the channel link to my YouTube channel. So there's a live going on right now. So I provided you the link for my YouTube channel. So if you want to revisit these videos, feel free to do that. Okay. Okay. So coming back to the solution of this one. So some of you answered right. It's option 1. So what does this function do is that we have an array num which runs from 1 to 9. Okay, so there are 4 nested loops in it. So all of the elements of the 2 by 2 matrix are initialized to 0. So that's what the lines 3 to 6 do. And after that there are 4 for loops running. So they are nested into each other. Okay, so it happens like first I will take 0 and j will take 0, k will take 0. With all these 3 variables initialized to 0, L will be updated from 0 to 8. Okay, so that's how the index is updated. So this num of I, this first element of the matrix will be updated first while keeping others 0. Okay, so the index is 0. So index A0, so num of 0 will be the first entry of the array. So someone said that it will print numbers from 0 to 8, where the elements are from 0 to 8. Okay, so don't get confused with that. So the 0 to 8 will be the index of the variables I, j, k, l. Okay, it's not the elements themselves. So it is the index corresponding to an array, one dimensional array in this case. Okay, so we are extracting information from one. Yes,
Understood.
yeah. Okay, so you had the doubt, I guess. Okay, so this is the second question. So you are given 2 lists, L1 and L2. So both of the strings have a couple of both of the lists have 4 strings associated with it, and there is a common empty list. In the empty list you will update the certain elements. So what does it display? What does common take, and what does it display when you print the elements of common? So again, put your answers in the chat box. I'll explain the solution later. Okay. So take another look into it. It seems very obvious, but you can commit mistakes. So was everyone able to solve this problem? Okay. Were you able to come up with a logic? Okay, anyway, I'll reveal the solution. None of the above. Common equals 2. Can you elaborate what is this common equals 2 that you have written?
So the list is there, right? So the index is actually getting appended to the CMN, the list. So since Kiwi in both L1 and L2
Yeah.
matches,
Yeah.
the index is 2. So common gets the number 2 alone. That is the only one appended to CMN. Is that right, sir?
No. So you're right about the index, but with the index we are referring to the element in the list also.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's not just I is getting appended. It is L1 of I that is getting appended.
So only Kiwi comes into play.
Only
Kiwi will be
com-
printed.
Only Kiwi comes.
Okay. Okay. Fine, sir.
Yeah.
Understood.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Clear.
yeah. So that's what someone in the chat box also said. Only Kiwi will be printed.
Printed. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Clear.
Yeah. So, but we have more than one common element here. So we have Kiwi common and banana also common between the two lists. So the
But the index in which it is common, right? That plays a role, right? If we
Yeah.
have I and J separate elements, then fine.
yeah. So the problem with this code is it is only comparing these one-on-one comparison. So it's comparing 0 and 0, 1 and 1, and 2 and 2, and 3 and 3. So the index runs from 0, 1, 2, 3. So it's doing this kind of, I'm sorry. Yeah, so it's doing this kind of comparison where only the ith index is compared between both the lists. Okay, so ideally it should have been like I should be initiated to 0 and j should run from 0 to 3. So we need 2 for loops to solve this finding common elements in two lists. Yeah.
Okay.
So it should be like I should be initialized to 0 and j should run from 0 to 3, and then I will be updated to 1. Again j will run from 0 to 3. So that kind of nested for loop with 2 iteratives, that would be the right solution. But here there is a logic in their code. So the answer for this one would be none of the above. Okay. I hope it's clear to everyone. I'll move on to the next question. So the definition of a leap year is given. Leap years are the years which are divisible by 4 but not divisible by 100, and they are also the years which are divisible by 400. Okay, so these are the two conditions which are to be satisfied to call a year as a leap year. So which of the following code represents a code that displays all the leap years from 1 to 2000? Okay, so this is option 1. the other options, it's pretty lengthy, the code snippet is. So the other options are in the next slide. So take a look into the first option first, then I'll display the other three. Okay, so the other three options are here. So the objective is to print all the leap years between 1 and 2000. Option 2. Okay. Option B. Okay. Option leap year. Option C. Yeah. So if you are confused with the order of execution, you can try typing the code yourself. Okay. Okay. So many of you answered it's option B. Still some more options. Okay. Yeah. So there were a lot of responses for option B, but if you carefully look at it, what option B does is that it is doing a classification if the number is divisible by 4. Okay, so that is the outer if loop. Okay, so that's the loop that runs from here to here. So I meant to say this classification runs from line number 3 to 8. Okay, so this is the outer if statement. First classification.
The else part will never get executed.
Yeah, exactly. So that's because we are already classifying the numbers which are not divisible by 100. Okay, so it's like it's not divisible by 100, then how will it be divisible by 400? That's the catch. So this else part will never be executed. Okay, so option 4, no, the answer is option C. Option 3 is the right answer here. So what does the option 3 does is, so you can see can you mute yourself? Okay. So what option 3 does is that, so it is checking whether the given year is divisible by 400 or not, and then if it's not divisible by 400, it's checking if it's divisible by 4. Okay, so we are not checking for 100 here because if it's so 400 is a multiple of 100, so there is no need to check for 100 explicitly and then do this checking. Okay.
Sir, but for example, year 300, will it be a leap year or not?
It won't be a leap year, right? Because if it is not divisible by 400, it's checking whether it's divisible by. Okay, just a second.
There has to be another test case.
Okay,
also.
okay, yeah. So I should have marked. Yeah, D would be the right answer. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So there has to be another test case. Yeah. So someone had typed in option D, option 4. Yeah, option 4 is the right answer here. Yeah, so I was provided with the key where option 3 is the right answer, but it turns out it's option 4. Yeah. So what it does is it's checking if a given year is divisible by 400 or not. So we'll call that a leap year. Otherwise, it should be divisible by 4 and not divisible by 100. So those were the two conditions that were given. So it would be option 4. Yeah, so when you run some test cases, you will know whether we should call it a leap year or not. Okay, so I hope this one is clear for everyone. So this is question number 4.
Sir, but and or aren't those Boolean operators?
Yeah, they are logical operators. Yes. So it's like it will evaluate whether this statement is true whether the left of or is true or the right of or should be true. Okay, if any one of these statements are true, only then the block inside the if statement will be executed.
Sir, can you please explain why option A wouldn't be the correct answer?
Option A, okay. So option A, what it does is, okay, so they are initializing 3 lists which are divisible by 4, which are, so the years which are divisible by 4 will be put in D4, and D100 will be the divisible by 100 years. And line 3, it is initializing an array, an empty list, where the years divisible by 400 will be put into this empty buckets. Okay, so we are running through a for loop. Okay, so first they are classifying if the year is divisible by 400 and they are appending it to D4. Okay, so yeah, so as I had explained, the years which are divisible by 4 are put into D4, the years which are divisible by 100 are put into D100, and the years divisible by 400 are put into D400. So that's what the code does till line 10. Okay, so once this classification is done, they're defining an empty list, again leap year ly, so for each element in D4, if the year is not in D100, okay, 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 this also seems to be right. For each in D4, no, so which are not each, if not in D100, okay, so the conditions that are to be satisfied, it should be divisible by 400. That's done in line 15 to 16, and okay, so out of the years which are divisible by 4, those years which are not divisible by 100, they are appended to the leap year. Okay, so condition 1 is also satisfied here. Okay, there seems to be a problem with the question itself, but this also seems to be right. We'll check it at the end of the class, but logic wise, if I could see the logic, it seems to be fine. We just have to run and check whether it will give the exact responses. Okay, so I'll verify this at the end of the class. Okay, but the logic seems to be right. Ideally you should be awarded marks for this also, but the keys that I was provided was wrong, I think. Okay, which code doesn't okay. Okay, so Okay, so in the question they are asking which of the following code does not represent a code that displays all the leap years. So it turns out option 1 does represent the leap years. It will display all the leap years. So does option C, option B and D. So that's why C is the right answer. The question is which of the following code does not represent a code displaying all the leap years. Okay, so all of you including me also are looking for which code does print the leap years, but it turns out we read the question wrong. Okay, so that's why C would be the right answer in this case. Okay,
So in option B, the else part will get executed.
in option D,
Option B.
option B, okay. Uh, okay, 4 and then 100, else if it's divided by 4. Yeah, will get executed, yes, because it's asking. So it's a nested if statement. Inside the classification of it's divisible by 4, then we are going to subclassification. If it's not divisible by 100, append it to the list. Else would be if it's divisible by 100. So that will be the sample space. Out of that, we are picking up which years are divisible by 400. Okay, so we had to read the question carefully. Okay, so question number 4, what does the following function do? So a function called leap is defined. It takes a year as input and returns 1 and 0 in certain cases. So what would be the right choice here? Option B. Will OR operator get executed first or AND operator? Okay, so what is in the parenthesis will get the first precedence. So this statement will be evaluated first. Okay, we have to check this will boil down to be true or false, and then we should check if this is true or false. So then we should apply the logic of truth table for OR. Okay, so if any one of the inputs are true, the output is true for the OR truth table. Okay, so this is based on the last question that we had solved. So it's obvious that option 2, yes. So option 2 is the correct answer for this. So it's checking whether the year is divisible by 400, and then it should not be divisible by 100, but should be at this simultaneously divisible by 4. Okay, so that will be a leap year. So if the year given as a leap year, it will return 1, otherwise it returns 0. So 1 and 0 are true and false in the logic sense. So it returns true for leap year and false for non-leap year. Okay. So this is the 5th question. Which of the following code correctly represents how one can display the number of dashes that is equal to the number of letters in the movie name? Okay, so we are given a list of movies. Okay, so if the code should, what the code should do is, if let's say Titanic has 7 letters in it, so it should read that the string has 7 characters and it should print 7 dashes. Okay. Yeah, so take a look into this. Option A. Okay. So is everyone able to understand the question? Option A. Okay. Yeah, so the answer is option A. Most of you got it right. So what the code does is, it is randomly choosing a movie from the list of movies using the function random.choice. Okay, and the random movie is assigned to a variable ch. Okay, so ch is a string variable. The length of the string is evaluated. So for I in the range, the length of the string, whichever movie we have picked up, it will print that many dashes which are corresponding to number of letters in that word. Okay, so other choices are just erratic. So this option B will print 100 dashes. Okay, and option C doesn't have any logic. So it is like the iterator and the character variable that we are string variable that are assigned are repeating. So this will throw an error. Okay, so if this iterator alone was changed to some random variable definition, this would give the right answer. But since this ch is repeated, it will throw an error. Yeah, so I hope this is easy. So another question based on list. Given a list of movies, which of the following code represent which randomly chooses a movie amongst all. Okay, so a list of movies is given in an array movies. So which of the following code randomly chooses a movie in the list? Option A. Okay. Option 1. Okay. Option C. Okay, so let's go through each option one by one. So most of you said option A is the right answer, but what option A does is that movies random dot choice. Zero to length of the movies. What does the uniform function do? Even I have not tried uniform function. Random dot uniform. Yeah. So low, high, sample is a non-point array. Okay, so a uniform distribution runs like this. So when you give inputs A and B, so in this case it will be like so in probability you might have come across this uniform distribution. So uniform distribution will range from 0 to 1. Okay, so whatever the probabilities, it will range from 0 to 1, the probability function. So that will range from 0 to 1. So in this case what it does is it will take two inputs A and B. So B is the higher number, A is the lower number. So it's like 1 divided by high minus low. This is what the uniform random dot uniform evaluates. So in this case, if it is it's taking 0 in length of the movies, so it will give 1 divided by length of movies minus 0. So basically the reciprocal of length of movies. So that will be a fraction.
So here the random is from random module or NumPy module?
Random from random module. Yeah. I don't think so. I don't think the NumPy module contains any random function in it. Every time we use random, we import random module, right? So we can check it if I'm wrong, but as far as I know, for when we use random, we always import the random library. Okay, so random integer. So that cuts out option D, option B, and random dot choice, the syntax is wrong. Okay, so random dot choice is like you have to give the list itself as the input. So this is giving a range as an input, so this is wrong. Okay, so what is the, I'm trying to give you an example of random int. Yeah, so rand int, what it does, it takes two so the syntax is that a random int takes a start value and an end value. Both of them must be integers, and it returns a random integer in the range start to end, including the endpoints. Okay, so over here, so because it is including the endpoints also, so what will be the length of movies here? It will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so it will run from, it will take integers from 0 to 7, but the index is only from till 6. Yeah, is everyone able to follow? So the first index will be 0, the last index will be 6.
Sir, can you please explain why the option C is not included?
Yeah, so option C, in a previous question we had used this choice function. So random.choice, what it does, it takes a list as an input. Okay, so it takes a list as an input, and when you supply this input, the random.choice will pick up a random element in the list. So in the question 5, it will choose any movie, any random movie in the movies list. Okay, so we have to supply list as the input for the random.choice function. Over here we are supplying a range 0 to length. it's a range 0 comma some number. In this case it's 7. So what I was so is that clear why C is wrong?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So why option A is also wrong is because the index runs from 0 to 6. Okay, there are 7 elements in the list, but the index runs from 0 to 6. But randint includes both 0 and 7, the end elements also. So that's why I had shown you this definition. Okay, a random it will return a random integer including the endpoints. Okay, so it will include 0 and 7 also. So sometimes it can return 7. So movies of 7 will be what? It's undefined. Movies of 6 till then only it's defined. Okay, so this is also wrong. Now none of these is the right answer. Is that clear to anyone, everyone?
Sir, random takes into consideration both 0 and 7 endpoints as well, right?
Yeah. It takes.
Do we have any function like it doesn't take 7 into picture and only till 6 it accounts for? Under the random library?
Under the random library, I'm not aware, but you can always use a -1 and +1 over here, so you can exclude the end values, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so you can just use 0 plus 1, and so start +1 and end -1. So that's the way to go.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, so that will just
Okay.
exclude the endpoints.
Okay, clear, sir.
Yeah. So I have 2 questions here. So please try question number 7. So there are 2 strings which are user defined inputs. So for each element in list S2, there is a nested for loop which takes in each element in list S1 also. It's checking both the iteratives are equal or not, and then printing yes. So check the flow of the code and let me know which statement is true. Option A, okay. For 7 it is 3. Okay. Okay, so I'll give you the answer. So the answer is B. For the 7th question, the answer is B. Yeah, option 2. So it will seem like option A is the right answer, but there is a break statement here. So let's say I have two words, apple and aircraft. So both have A as the first letter and both are common. Okay, so it's like it will compare the first letter is equal, it will print yes, and then it will break. So the control flow exits the for loop here because we are using a break statement. Okay, so we don't know what are the following letters in the string. Okay, so it's like once one element is equal, it will exit the for loop. So we cannot ensure that it is if the both strings are same. Okay, so once this condition is satisfied for any of one entries, it will print yes, and then it will quit. It will be quit. The code will be quit because of the break statement. Okay, now all of you try 8th question. So which numbers from 1 to 100 will the following code print? Okay, so option 2. Okay, so what it will print? It's prime numbers. So it's like so ignore the typo, it should be 101. Okay. So there is a flag variable that is initialized to 0, and then there is a for loop inside the for loop. So it's taking all the all the numbers from 2 to I. So it's basically excluding 1, and then it's doing a divisibility test. So if I is divisible by j, then the flag variable f is updated to 1. We are using a break. We'll quit the code. We'll quit this loop. So if the flag variable remains 0, we print the iterator I. Okay, so what it does is it's failing the divisibility test if the flag is 0. If divisibility test is passed, then flag is the f is updated to 1. Okay, so the flag variable f should remain 0, which means the number should not be divisible by any other number than 1 and itself. So that's why 1 is not included here. Okay, and when range from 2 to 0, then what will be done? Okay. Two to 0. Okay, 2 to 0
Sir,
means
in
it's just
seventh-
I, right? Sorry?
Sir, in 7th code, the break is only breaking from the inner for loop.
Yeah.
So it will print yes multiple times if there are multiple common letters.
But this if statement is in this indent, right? So this will be,
Yes.
the control will go somewhere here. It won't.
But the outer loop is running many times.
Yeah. So yeah, the outer loop will run. I'll check into that. I'll check and get back to you. But ideally it's like, but the outer loop will also be broken, right?
So breaks only one loop, right?
For each in yeah. Yeah, even then yeah, it can print yes multiple times, yeah. But the question is, is it necessary that the strings are same? It need not be, right? It just at least one common character should be there. If multiple common characters are there, multiple times yes will be printed. Yeah, you're right. Okay, so it's like, yeah, only one for loop will be broken. But then so the answer is that it should at least have one common character.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So if there are multiple common characters, multiple times yes will be printed. You are right. But it's not necessary that the strings both are same. Okay, so that's why option B is the right answer. So
Sir, for this question number 8,
yeah.
The logic with the inside for loop where J comes into picture. Can you explain that again, sir?
Yeah. So before that, somebody asked what if the range is from 2 to 0. So if it's, I'll just answer that. So if it's 2 to 0, it will do a divisibility test. Okay, 0 by 0 is undefined. If it's 2 to 0, Okay, I'll check with that if it's 2 to 0. This range should be then modified. The 2 to 0 cannot be allowed, so in that case we have to modify this range by giving a start and end. So there are some typos already. It's like for 100 they are giving 1000 instead. We cannot have 0. In that case, it will be, sometimes it can be 0 divided by 0 divisibility test will be, so that is just undefined. 2 to I plus 3, yeah, something like that. So the range should be like start from 2, yeah, and then no, why should it start from 2? 1 also will work, right? So 1 to 100. So this should be the range. So can anyone clarify it? It will include both the end values, right? 1 and 100. If I define range in this way.
Sir, but it will include 99. Sir.
Okay, yeah, it will. No, that's why if it includes 1 and 100, so that's what I was asking. Does it include both the end values? If I define range in this fashion.
No, sir, it will start from 1 and till the 100 only.
So
It isn't
start to n
take
minus 1,
100
right?
and 101.
Yeah. So
Sir,
yes.
sir, I have one doubt in 7th.
7th question. Yes.
Yeah, sir. If we didn't give break statement, what will be the option in this 7th question?
If we didn't give a break statement, so what it will do is it will take one element of list S2 and then it will compare with all the elements of list S1. Okay, so accordingly it will, so let's say my first S2 is apple. Okay, I'm trying to write that. And S1 is, I'll take a small word, air. Okay, so S2, this A will be taken first. This will be the outer for loop. This will be compared against all the values of all the letters of S1. Okay, so A will be checked with this, compared with this, compared with this. So if these comparisons, this if statement is true, then it will print yes. Okay, so again it will so for that case also it will print yes if both strings have at least one common character.
Sir, if it takes any infinite loop because we didn't give any break.
It's not an infinite loop, right? It will only go till the length of the strings. For loop has a definite end, right? Only while loop can give you an infinite loop when the true statement is not satisfied for any case.
Okay, sir, thank you.
Yeah. So I hope question 8 is clear to everyone. So just modify this range function. So there are a lot of typos in the last year course contents. So yeah, if you modify this code will work. It's doing a divisibility test. If the given number is divisible by any number other than 1 and itself, it's not a prime number. The flag will remain 1. Then it will break the for loop. Otherwise, if the flag remains 0, that if the given given number is not divisible by other numbers than 1 and itself, the flag remains 0 and it will print the number. So it will print all the prime numbers. Okay, so try question number 9. Again there's a typo. One to 101. Yeah, so the answer is perfect squares. So it's doing the same logic. Instead of doing a divisibility test, it's checking whether it's a perfect square or not. Okay, so when the iterator itself is j times j, so this is checking whether I is a perfect square or not. Okay, so if it's a perfect square, it's updating the flag variable to 1, and then the if condition is such that if the flag variable is 1, will print I, the given number. So if the given number I is a perfect square, it will be printed. Okay, so this is the last MCQ question of today. So assume that a drunkard whose movement is defined on a number line, okay, he can either move backward or forward. Assume that he is standing at a position P. Okay, he takes 2 steps forward followed by 4 steps backward. Okay, so that's how a motion of a drunkard will be in a number line. So it's like front and back zigzag. Okay, so he falls into the pit as soon as he reaches the position 0. Which of the following codes correctly represent his walk? Okay, so this is option, so this is A, this is B, this is C, and none of the above is B. Option A. Okay, so I'll give you this. So the solution for this one is C. Okay.
Sir, why not A?
Why not A is because so it's counting the steps in 2s and 4s. Okay, so let's say I'll try to draw a number line. So let's say this is 0, this is 2, and this is -4. So it could be that he's at -1 and then he's moving this direction. So it's like he goes forward by two steps. So it will be like he should take the first step and then take the second step. So if you read the question, he's not jumping 2 steps. So he's taking step by step. It's just that they are defining 2 steps forward and then 4 steps backward. So this the option A and B, they are assuming a jump. Okay, so
Okay, sir.
yeah, so if you think logically also, if there is a pit, if he's not jumping, he'll fall into the pit once he reaches 0, 1 step itself. So that's why you have to increment his position by 1 unit all the time, and when he's going backward, you should decrement it by 1 unit. Okay, so these 2 steps and 4 steps are taken care here in the range function. So it will be like 2 steps in the forward direction, but 1 by 1, not jump, and 4 steps in the backward direction. That's taken care by the range function here. So it's now this is a decrement statement. Okay, so he's going 4 steps backward, 1 step after the other. Okay. Okay, so I think this example is clear. I have a couple of coding assignments. So launch your Spider and try this assignment. So you are given a number A which contains only digits 1s and 0s. Your task is to make all the digits same just by flipping one of the digits. Okay, so it's a binary number, only 0s and 1s. So you will have to flip one digit, either turn 0 to 1 or 1 to 0. Okay, only by flipping one digit it should be able to make all the digits same. Okay, if it's possible to make all the digits same just by flipping one digit, then print yes, otherwise print no. Okay, so I'll explain you with a here is an example. So if I give an input binary number 101, so if I flip this 0 to 1, I'm getting all the digits as same. So my output will be yes. Okay, so in the test case also, let's say here in the test case 3, if I flip 0 to 1, I'm just changing one digit, Now all the digits are same. Now I'll print yes. So yes is the output here. So just by modifying one digit, I should make all the digits same based on my input. So if it's not same, the code has to print no. If it's becoming same, just by flipping one digit, the output should be yes. So can you do this on your own, or is it too complicated? Okay, good.
Sir, in the previous question,
Yes.
shouldn't there be breaks in the for loop?
In the 10th question, so in the 10th question we are inputting p, this position we are inputting. So there is a break here, right? Once the position is updated to 0, we are breaking. So we are saying that he fell into the pit and his position is displayed, that will be 0. A break is here, right?
Sir, for the upper for loop,
For the upper for loop, we don't break, right? We do not break the upper for loop because,
okay, sir, understood.
yeah, only when he falls into the pit we break the loop. And it's not a nested for loop, it's just 2 steps forward is done in this loop, 4 steps backward is done in this loop. So I'll check back with you in 5 more minutes. take the input as a string. Yeah, you can take that's the way to go. You have to take input as a string and then use for loop. Yes. If count of 1 and count of 0 are same, it's not possible. If not, it is possible to print. Yes. Yeah, you are going in the right direction. So if you take this example of 0 and 1, if you switch 1 to 0 or 0 to 1, it's possible, right? If the count of 0 and 1 are same. So it should be that. Yeah, count of 1 and 0 difference should be 1, then yes. But instead of going for the difference between count of 1 and 0, the count of 1 or count of 0 itself should be 1. Only then you can make one switch and make all of them similar, right? So if there is a 7-digit word letter like let me share my screen again. So in this case, the difference between zeros and ones is 2. But still we are able to make a switch from 0 to 1 and give a yes. Different must not be 1, yeah. So it should be that either the count of 1 or the count of 0 should be 1. Okay, so maybe we are going towards the end of the class, so I'll share the solutions. So here is the solution. So we are inputting we are giving a string as an input. Okay, so we are making a list out of it, and then so the core of the program lies here. If count of 0 or count of, so O is 1, Z is 0. So count of 1 or count of 0 is, if any of these is 1, then we can print yes. Okay, so this is the core of the program. Before these lines you can you can go anyway. That there are different solutions to this, but this is the core logic. This should be consistent. Before this you can do the counting by whichever way you like. Okay, you can take a list itself, user defined list, and then do the counting based on that element by element. Okay, so that's what they're done here. So I'll quickly go through the code. We are giving a user defined string. So it's not a string, it's it can be input or anything, so it's just a generalized input. It can be string or integer or anything. So in this case it will be an integer, so we are converting the integer into string. Okay, and we are making a list. Okay, so for in the list li, so for j in li we are appending it to the empty list integer of j. So the count of 0 and count of 1 is initialized to 1. After that we are running a for loop in ls. If k is 1, the count is incremented by 1. If k is 0, the count of 0 is incremented by 1. Okay, if we find a 1, we are incrementing the count of 1, count O to by 1. If we are finding a 0, we are incrementing count z by 1. Okay, so till this you can apply your own logic. All we are doing is we are supplying an input binary number, we are converting it into a list, and then we are counting how many ones and zeros are there. That's all. So you can apply your own logic, whichever way you are comfortable, you can do this counting. Once the counting is done, we are checking whether the count of 1 is 1 or count of 0 is 1. Only then we can do one switch and then make all the digits same. Then we can print yes. So this is the if statement. Else will be what? Else the count is so any of them is not 1. That is the else statement. So it could be both zeros. That is a specific case. Otherwise it can be anything dissimilar. So in both cases we want to print no and no. Okay, so I'll upload the solution also, because we are closing in time. I'll upload the solutions also. So I'll upload the solution also in the Google Drive. You can check it out. So this is just one small problem. I guess you can do this. It's just given an integer n, we have to print the factorial of the number. Okay, so input is n, output should be the factorial of n. Okay, I think this one is solved in the class lectures itself. So can anyone confirm it's covered in the weekly videos itself? I think I saw a factor.
Yes.
Yeah, it is covered, right? Okay, then we can skip this. So this is the final problem that we'll see today. You are provided with number of rows and number of columns. Your task is to generate a matrix having R rows and C columns, such that all the numbers are increasing in the order starting from 1 in the row wise manner. Okay, so over here I can walk you through it. So I'm giving a 4x4 matrix as the input. Okay, I'm giving 4 rows and 4 columns as the R and C. Okay, those are the inputs that I have to give. So the output should be that it should print a matrix that will increase row wise. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, like that. So if it's a 5 by 5 matrix, it will be 5s, 1 to 5, 6 to 10, 11 to 15, 16 to 20, 21 to 25. So in this manner, your output should appear. Okay, so since we are again running out of time, like I have the solution here. Okay, I'll just show you that. You can practice that, and then if you have any doubt, you can ask me in the next session. Okay, so this is the solution where we are capturing so A, B are two variables. We are doing a mapping. So is everyone familiar with mapping?
No, sir. So what is the do?
Okay, so map function, what it does is, so in this case, so let me show you the syntax of map. Yeah. Okay, so map function, this is the syntax of map function. So map, there is a function and there is a iterable. So it will return a list of results after applying the given function to each item of the given iterable. Okay, can be a list or tuple or anything. So an example is given here. So if you observe the example, it will be clear. So we are defining a function addition. So this function addition, what it does is, if I supply a number n to it, it will return n plus n. Okay, so I am so I'm using the map function to supply a list of numbers. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. So all of these, so 1 will be 1 plus 1, 2 will be 2 plus 2, 3 will be 3 plus 3, 4 will be 4 plus 4. So all the numbers in the list, it will be supplied to the addition user defined function, and the result will be a list that will be printed here. See, 2, 4, 6, 8. So all of the list elements, it will be supplied to this addition function, and then it will be given as an output once we print it. Okay, so over here we are using the simple int function. So whatever input I am giving, it will be int of the input in the list. Okay, that's why I am using a split here. So it's like so the A and B, they are the number of rows and number of columns in this case. Okay, then I am having a count variable. I am initializing that to 1, and there is a empty list m. I have defined it. So for I in the range 1 to a plus 1, okay, so 1 to number of, so it's going through all the rows. Okay, so in all the rows in the empty list L, I am appending in the empty list L dot append count. So count that I have initialized to 1. So I am initialized count to 1. So in this, till this line, I am appending 1 to it. Okay, so 1 comma 1 position now has 1. Okay, so it's like in the first row. So this is the outer for loop, this is the inner for loop. So in the first row, in the columns 1 to B, okay, number of columns, I am incrementing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. Okay, just as we defined. So that's all. It's done till here. The first for loop does this. Okay, so is this clear? So till here it is doing that. After that, So one row we have created, so we have to append multiple rows to the two-dimensional matrix. Okay, so what is a 2D matrix? It's a set of 1D arrays, right? So that's what is done here. We are appending it. Okay. So for I in the range A, again there is a nested loop. For j equals b minus, if j is equal to b minus 1, so these statements are just to terminate the end. Okay, so this is just to know that we have reached the end of the matrix and then shift to the next line. Okay, so that's what this nested for loop does. And then each 1D array is stacked on each other to give a 2D matrix. So this might sound a bit confusing, but once you execute it and you see the execution line by line, it will be clear to you. Okay, so if there is any questions regarding this, if you are stuck in anything, please let me know in the next class. We'll take up this. Okay, I'll upload these solutions also in the Google Drive, so you can take a look at this also. Okay, so we are closing in with the time, so if there are no questions, we can stop for today's class.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, everyone, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.